Welcome back to NewsMakers. We are with National's Kate Wilkinson and Labour's Ruth Dyson. The Hubbard investigation has disappeared off the media's radar in the last week or so, but there does seem to be a huge amount of unease as to how the whole investigation was announced. Primetime television, an emergency ministerial meeting. Did the government overcook its handling of this investigation from the outset? Kate? No,
I don't think they did, Mike. I think there are responsibilities when the Securities Commission say, there's something that looks awry, that you have to do something quickly. I think it's quite tragic because I think that the Hubbards have done some wonderful things for South Canterbury, and he's a very philanthropic chap, and I don't think that can be disputed. But if, on the other hand, if some investors' money hasn't been invested with the right paper trail, then that needs to be investigated, and I think that's the really sad thing. I wonder whether sort of technology hasn't caught up with technology, but I guess the process is going through, and it's due process, and it's probably too early to say. But he was a South Canterbury icon, and
still is.
Yes. And he still is. Yeah, and he still is. He still drives his little Morris Minor or Beetle or whatever it is, and I think it's really sad. But I think you also have to be very, very careful when you're dealing with other people's money that the right boxes are ticked.
So, without wanting to prejudice the investigations, I get the impression from you that you think there are some major deficiencies that will be exposed.
Well, I think when you do have the Serious Fraud Office and the Securities Commission looking at it, then you have to take it seriously, but I don't know any more than that.
Okay. Ruth, I get the impression from your questions in the House that you think Mr Hubbard has been condemned before he's had a fair go.
It's a very unusual situation to have anybody, let alone a couple like that, put into statutory management. It's not a common occurrence. And what people in South Canterbury have asked, and what I've asked the Minister, is what was the justification for that? What was the risk that they posed? And, given their service to the community, the fact that they are in their 80s, wasn't there an alternative that he could have considered? Now, I've only had 4 of my 5 questions answered. Very interestingly, one was turned down, having been cleared by the Clerk of the House as having enough verification to proceed as a question. The Minister then sent it back and said there's no verification for this. I found that in itself interesting. But basically he's sticking to the line. There was a risk to such a degree that I thought this was the only option available. I'm really surprised about that, and I know that people in South Canterbury are. It doesn't feel to me as though the Hubbards are a high risk, particularly when you compare them to other people who have inflicted huge financial losses on people and then go gallivanting in the Pacific on holiday, sort of mocking them.
That does seem to be a perception problem this whole Hubbard fiasco has generated, that people feel you're picking on the wrong guy. You had some bigger sharks to pursue. Fair cop?
Well, I think you've got to be very careful, as I said, when you're dealing with other people's money, and when issues like this arise, then you can't just do nothing because he's a great man. If he's made some mistakes, if he hasn't abided by the law, then it has to be looked at.
If he has been abided by the law, would you agree that perhaps he could be one hell of a compensation package, Lemming?
Well, I'm not going to agree to that at this stage in the process, Mike, as you well know. The process has got a long way to go yet.
I think that point is absolutely right.
But it is a tragedy. It is
really sad.
If there's
people's money at risk, then you have to intervene. Of course, Kate's right.
Yeah.
But this intervention was really heavy-handed, and the point that I was making is that we seriously need to take their own chequebook off them. They can't even buy their groceries.
Okay.
So it's a really heavy-handed intervention on the scale of things.
I think you'll find they can buy their groceries, and I think there's always more to it. But you've got to be really careful when you're going through a process that you don't jeopardise that process.
That's true.
All right. We will see what comes in time. Very quickly, Mr Bethune, back in New Zealand Saturday morning. Should he get a hero's welcome, or is the guy a loose cannon? Ruth?
A bit of both,
okay.
Actually. I think he is a loose cannon. He's clearly very determined and prepared to sacrifice a huge amount for what I think is one of the best causes. I don't think we should have whaling in our nearby waters. I'm really opposed to it. I think we are lied to by other countries who say it's for scientific research, it's commercial whaling, and I really admire the stand that those people take in the Southern Ocean.
Does it do any good? Does it actually do any good, all those cat and mouse games down there?
It doesn't seem to progress the issue to resolution, but we couldn't possibly stand back and do nothing. I really admire them. I don't think that people should break the law. So he's probably on the edge. They're still arguing over who started what crash.
Yes, true.
And perhaps, given the size of the waves down there, it might have been difficult to actually ascertain.
Okay.
I don't think we should make a person who's done illegal stuff a hero, but we should really respect the work that he's done.
On a personal front, this is not a ministerial opinion, on a personal front, how do you feel about him?
Well, I'm almost a bit the same as Ruth, actually. We don't like and don't want whaling in our southern oceans. So the goal, if you like, is the same. But he, by going down to those dangerous waters, and I understand they are dangerous waters, he's not only risked his own life, he could have risked others. If he had to be rescued, there's risking the lives of the rescuers, and he did break the law.
Okay, I've got about 30 seconds for any free shots. Winners and sinners of the week, anyone you wish to mention. You have 15 seconds apiece. Ruthie?
I want to give a big bouquet to the Sydenham business community. They've put up with so much nonsense from the City Council, imposing a bus lane in their area, which isn't needed. They're having their businesses disrupted, and I really admire the way they've stuck to their guns and they just keep on putting their case. They're great.
There you go. Could be some votes in there for you there.
I don't actually know that they all live in my electorate, but that's not the point.
No.
I think they're doing really well.
Okay, very good. Kate?
Well, my winners are actually our two universities, because this morning the University of Canterbury and Lincoln, we launched the Centre for Water Resources, which is all about keeping the waters clean. It's about the quality of the waters, and it's actually looking at having a degree in water resources. And I think in time, I think that's a great thing for Canterbury. And I just think that our two universities, we should be very proud of them and the way that they are working pragmatically and practically with industry.
And what a shame we haven't got a regional council to manage our water anymore.
That's an issue for another day, Ruth. To our pick of the week. If you've had trouble with tailgaters during your school holiday travels, here's a little pick to remind you that it could have been worse. Ooh. Can you imagine? Last week's question, should all New Zealand water supplies be fluoridated? This is the Jim Anderton question. 22% of you said yes, 78% no. This week's question, should retailers prohibit the sale of knives to under 18-year-olds? We'll throw it over to you, yes or no. Email newsmakers@ctv.co.nz or use the post or the web and you'll be in to win the Starbucks coffee and the Pack and Save shopping voucher so you can go and buy some fruit and veg. Thank you very much to Ruth Dyson and Kate Wilkinson. Keep warm, enjoy the school holidays. We'll catch up soon. Good night.
Thanks, mate.